For oral answer, I call on the order of the day for the address and reply debate.
Adjourn debate on the address and reply and the amendment proposed thereto.
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Maggie Barry.
E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā tangata katoa, tēnā koutou katoa. Mr Speaker, I am indeed honoured to be a member of the Cabinet and part of this government under the leadership of John Key, a government with a track record of delivering for New Zealanders, and we will continue to deliver following the strong mandate at last month's election. I acknowledge my predecessors in my three portfolios, the Honourable Chris Finlayson, the Honourable Dr Nick Smith and the Honourable Joe Goodhue. I'm very reliably informed that I am the first Minister in Cabinet to simultaneously hold the portfolios of arts, culture and heritage and conservation as well. Now this gives me as an individual, the opportunity to engage in a very wide range of issues around our unique national identity and involving both our cultural and our physical landscape, as well as the historic events that have shaped us to become the nation that we are today. The WW100 commemorations have begun already and will be a major focus over the next 4 years. On October the 16th, we mark the departure of the New Zealand troops from Wellington 100 years ago. The waterfront of Wellington marks where the journey to Gallipoli and the Western Front began for many of our troops. Senator Michael Ronaldson, the Minister for Veterans Affairs in Australia, also spoke at the ceremony, and we both reflected on the beginnings of that strong Anzac tradition that we are continuing to build on through our shared centenary relationships. The significance of Anzac Day 2015 will be looming large in the minds of New Zealanders next year. The government has demonstrated a very firm commitment to the centenary commemorations through the constructions of Pukeahu National War Memorial Park in Wellington, which will be opened in time on Anzac Day next year, literally on top of the new Aras Tunnel, which, as I said a moment ago, was completed ahead of schedule. This is going to become the national place for New Zealanders to remember and to reflect on this country's experience of war, of military conflict and of peacekeeping, and how those experiences shaped our ideals and our sense of national identity. Pukeahu will also include an Australian memorial, with additional memorials to be added over time from other nations who fought alongside us in those important battles. All of this, I think, highlights the international aspects to our centennial commemorations, building on our long-held and valued relationships with other nations in a shared recognition of the First World War and the impact it made on us. Our ongoing relationships with France, the United Kingdom, Turkey and other nations during the centenary period will be a testament to the strength of these ties that bind. Lottery's funding of $17 million will also enable community and national projects as part of these commemorations, with a further $5 million, just allocated. Next year is also a very significant year for anniversaries of events that have shaped our nation specifically. Waitangi Day 2015 will mark 175 years since the signing of the treaty, while Wellington will have been the capital for 150 years. These events provide an opportunity for all of us to engage with the ideas of identity and nationhood, and this includes the flag. The conversation about if we want to change the flag or not, and the binding referendum process, will be coming through my office. Again, it's an issue that will be left to the people to decide if we want to stay with what we have or if we want to change. There will be very wide consultation and two binding referendums and no presumption of change. Brand New Zealand is very much about who we are and where we fit into the world. New Zealand's creative sector is significant nationally and internationally. The growth and sustainability of the sector is essential to our future well-being. Within the arts, culture and heritage portfolio, I look forward to building positive relationships across a diverse range of organisations that represent the many dimensions of our cultures and its peoples. These are providers of services that make our New Zealand culture accessible, whether in a performing arts environment or through content distributed online. These providers represent and preserve our collective past and our present. But there are also funding organisations that future-proof and safeguard New Zealand cultural output, whether it's in the form of music, dance or film. I'll be working with Heritage New Zealand on furthering progress on the National Historic Landmarks list. This will provide an appreciation of New Zealand's most important heritage places and the conversation and the conservation of them. I would like to acknowledge Minister Chris Finlayson's contribution to not only the Heritage New Zealand Pauheri Taonga Act, but also, of course, to the broader arts, culture and heritage portfolio. It is an integral part of our national identity that informs another of my portfolios, conservation. Mr. Speaker, I've spent a lot of my spare time and a lot of my working life, for that matter, studying and being around the flora and fauna of New Zealand. It is something I enjoy very much, and I speak with personal experience and with a personal sincerity that the national parks, to me, are some of the many jewels within our landscape. The New Zealand Conservation Authority has made a recommendation that a new national park be established on Waipua Forest to include a visitor centre, and I look very much forward to progressing discussions with Te Roroa about the Kauri National Park. This government has also committed $30 million to containing and controlling Kauri dieback, which is an extremely challenging disease to manage. I am a great believer in building strong partnerships, and within conservation, I believe that this is a key priority. By growing these partnerships, we can improve our ability to protect biodiversity and to help New Zealanders and visitors to this country further enjoy what our wonderful and unique environment has to offer. These partnerships involve collaboration across central and local government, working with private landowners, businesses, as well as individual benefactors. Kiwis for Kiwi partnerships with Air New Zealand and Fonterra, and a huts maintenance project in arrangement with Federated Mountain Clubs and Predator Free New Zealand are all examples of developing these initiatives. And here I would like to acknowledge Rob Fennick, who is a visionary with energy and commitment, who has given a lot of his time and thought and the breadth of his philosophy and experience to these vital tasks. I'd also like to acknowledge my erstwhile colleague Ruud Kleinpaster, the Bugman, for his unique contributions. Treaty settlements also offer further opportunities for strengthening relationships between the Department and iwi as primary partners. This government has created a record number of 10 marine reserves in this past year, doubling the set net protection for Maui's dolphin. We've introduced a ban on shark finning, and we've created new whale and sea sanctuaries. The balance between marine protection and resource use is very important for all New Zealanders, and as a Minister I am absolutely mindful of that. Work on threatened marine species is also conducted collaboratively, including working with the fishing industry and port authorities to find practical solutions to protect marine mammals and our seabirds. Improvements to New Zealand's legislative framework for marine protection helps ensure our protected status for marine areas in the exclusive economic zones in our territorial seas. The development of new marine protection legislation would address limitations in the Marine Reserves Act 1971. The current Act is, I feel, outdated and restrictive and does not encourage collaborative planning. There is, I think, here an opportunity for New Zealand to be a world leader in how we manage our oceans. There are also 2 new marine recreational parks planned in the Hauraki Gulf and Marlborough Sounds, and an improved regulatory framework around those. We face ongoing threats to our biodiversity from predators, and we will continue to take a practical, science-based approach in dealing with these challenges. The use of 1080 is a cost-effective and scientifically verified method of managing these eco-invaders. Pest control will be extended to 1 million hectares to protect our native species, and I would urge people to come up to date with the science on 1080. It is backed by the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment. This year, the Department's Battle for Our Birds Predator Control programme combined use of 1080 and trapping to combat the increased threat to at-risk species from stoats and rodents. The battle for our birds not only has the potential for huge improvements in natural landscape conservation, but also to benefit agriculture. Economically, the Department of Conservation plays a vital role in New Zealand's $24 billion recreation and tourism industry, and it's a key that we work on with the industry on the short, medium and long-term actions to deliver benefits for tourism and recreation while benefiting conservation. Our natural heritage is a legacy to be handed on to future generations, and the sound management of the natural environment is absolutely essential to this. As the Minister for Senior Citizens, it is a portfolio that I have a very strong interest in. This government is committed to ensuring that older New Zealanders have the security and well-being and are given, very importantly, the respect and the value that they deserve. They have contributed hugely to this country, and this government and me as Minister will continue to value our older New Zealanders in practical ways. People are living longer and are healthier into their old age more than in any previous generations. The New Zealand population trends show that the number of people over the age of 65 is projected to double in the next 20 years to around 1.2 million in 2036. This means that older New Zealanders will contribute significantly more to the economy and also contribute to our society in unpaid and voluntary work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well said. Mr. Speaker.
Dr. Russell Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise